that get up music.
Just an ordinary day. Till you came around, I had my feet on the ground. So much for that. Just an ordinary day. Till you came around, and now my life's upside down.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inspire. My name is Sha Hayes. I am so excited, having had a moment to speak with Qiana QBoogie right before we got on here. I'm excited because in my mind, I've always thought I was going to be a DJ for some reason. I just didn't have the real, passion to really do it. But I'm so excited to meet with this dynamic entertainer. Qiana has produced and organized as an ultimate DJ. She is an organizer of youth programs, helping people be able to learn about that process of DJing. And it's called the Art of DJ and Youth Enrichment Program, and teaching children in elementary and middle school the basics of DJ. In 2020, DJ Q-Boogie was named the winner of the DJ category for the best Hartford Magazine, and also recognized as 100 Women of Color in 2020 in Hartford Courant. Without further ado, we are so excited to welcome Qiana DJ QBoogie.
Hi. How are you?
First of all, I need to get this whole backdrop going on in my children's room, as you can see I'm in.
I'm telling you, isn't that backdrop nice?
Huh? Yeah, it is nice.
That backdrop is really nice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We are so happy to have you. Thank you for being a part of Inspire.
I am so happy to be here with you guys. I really appreciate you having me on. I really, really do.
Thank you. Well, Sha, take it over. I'm going to just hop off for a second.
Sure, absolutely. So we like to go into like a journey of like where you began your love of music. So you think about the little girl coming up listening to the radio. I know what I used to make tapes, used to make my own little mixtape with tapes and stuff. When did you first find your love of music?
I think, I don't know, ever since I can remember, I always loved music. I always loved dancing. And the memory that I have the most is just being in my parents' basement. My dad had hundreds of records, and I just remember being in the basement playing the records with the penny on top of the needle, yeah. Playing the records, playing Luther Vandross and Prince and Stephanie Mills, Earth, Wind and Fire. I just remember playing all of that music as a little girl. So I've always loved good music, always.
Now, was that when although you loving music as a child, did you say, well, I wanted to find a way to introduce music to others? Is that something you always wanted to do?
No, I actually thought I was going to be a dancer.
Okay.
I thought I was going to be a dancer. I had no idea that I would be on the path that I'm on right now. I had no idea.
So you said dancer. Did you take up like professional dancing at some point and you start out?
As a kid, I went to it was this place called the Artist Collective, and I learned jazz and tap and things like that, and ballet. But I always thought that I was going to be like this hip hop dancer in the videos and stuff like that. But I didn't get there. But I absolutely love to dance.
But I mean, even dancing, there's a musicality that still connects that you need to know, beats and rhythms and all that. So all of that still kind of plays a part into that journey. So you said when you went to school, you are dancing, and you had opportunities, I guess, to see artists perform, because as a dancer, you're normally in the background. Were you then connected to the music playing in the background, and how that portion of it was a big part of it? Because a DJ is a big part of how people get on the dance floor and enjoying their time at an event. So did all that come together just from being at that age and dancing as well?
I don't even think so. I didn't even think that I was like really paying attention to the DJs that much when I was younger. But like, as I would say, maybe like 14, 15, 16, around that. That's when I started noticing like Jazzy Jeff and Dear Master J, Spinderella. Like around that time, that's when I started like really like saying like, wow, okay, this is something that's really cool. But I still never thought that I would be doing it. I never thought that. So but I always looked up to them, and always like, there was certain songs I would know like the different scratches in the song. I don't know why I remembered it. I don't know. It was something that was just in me.
Yeah. Well, and so then at the point of when in your life, I guess you had a moment where you just said, all right, let me try this out. When was this? When was the moment you said, I'm going to try DJ? And then how did that come about?
So I was at this club in Hartford called The Bar With No Name. Okay. And there was a DJ there, and I was just watching him. I was watching him. And I would tell him, I was like, play this record next. And he'd be like, nah, not yet, but I'm gonna play it though. That you're on the right track, I'm gonna play it. So that night I went home and I was like, I think I want to learn how to DJ. And that was, I probably was like 20, 27, 26, 27. So I ended up telling someone that I wanted to learn how to DJ. And they were like, oh, why would you want to do that? That's so boyish. Why would you want to do that? So it discouraged me. Because I really looked up to this person. So it discouraged me. So I just left it alone. I left it alone. And until like 10 years later, when I was doing an event, I had put an event together, me and my friend. And it was like a 30 and over event. And one of the DJs, I was in charge of getting the DJ. So DJ, I was just watching him and I was like, you know what? I want to learn how to DJ. And he was like, oh, I'll teach you. And I was like, really? So then from there, he became my mentor, DJ Dean Collins Smith. And the rest is history.
Wow. So he was your mentor and he really showed you, but then you had someone kind of telling you shouldn't do it because, you know, as she said, it's a male dominated field and you don't see people. And that's why it is important to have people like yourself who are willing to go out and break the stereotype of what DJing looks like. So you have your mentor who is there now to encourage you and say that you can do this. You know, I guess what is, the school of schooling of going into DJ come into play? Because people think that, oh, I know what music sounds like. I know how to put a song on. I know what I want to hear. What kind of goes into actually needing to know the basis of knowledge when it comes down to being a DJ?
It's so much that goes into it. I know some people think that, you know, we're just behind here, just putting records on and just, you know, making that happen. But it's not like that. You need to understand the beats per minute. You need to understand your crowd. You need to understand music, period, all different types of music. It's just a lot that really goes into it. You need to be able to listen to something that's playing out to the audience and then listen to another track in your headphones. That took me a while to get it because I was just so confused. But, after a while, I just figured it out and I got it.
Really? Wow, that's amazing.
He told me, he said, one day, Q, one day you're just gonna get it. And that's what happened. But it took a lot of work and a lot of practice and a lot of energy.
So with all of that, you know, you became into DJing and you wasn't like always directed in towards that path. What were you doing before that?
Oh, I've always worked in corporate. I was in the insurance industry. My last job, I was an underwriter for an insurance company. And I really loved my job until about 2.5 years ago. I started being like really stressed out and really trying to kind of figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I just wasn't happy. And I would come home and the kids and my husband would be like, what is wrong with you? But I was just really stressed out and confused and just really didn't want to be there anymore. But it was really like all I knew. And I had been DJing at that time for about 9 years, but I wasn't really doing it like how I am now. I wasn't really out there like how I am now. So I never thought that I would make it a career for me or do it full time. I never thought that I would do that.
So when you were introduced to it, at that in your mind state, it hadn't fully said to yourself, "This is a full-time job." It was like, "I'm gonna still do it, but I still need to pay these bills on the side. So let me still work at corporate to keep that dream and keep these bills happening." So I know the frustration. I know sometimes we all are going to work and doing something we don't want to do. So doing and having that job, when was it like, okay, I can't, this is like physically draining on me? When did you have that breaking point for yourself?
In 2017, it was just, I came home. I had a migraine. I had migraines a lot. I would wake up with migraines knowing that I would have to get up and go to the job. It started to feel like, I don't know, like I just didn't want to be there anymore. Like it was just really draining to me. And I was telling my husband, I was like, I don't think I could do this anymore. But I was so scared to leave. I was so scared to take the leap. And it took me 2 years of being like, I should do it. I don't know. 2 years for me to be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. So I planned it out. Like I saved up. I made sure that I had money in the bank before I left, and, made sure my 401k was good. And, I kind of planned it out, and I was like, you know what, I'm out of here. And he was very supportive. My family was very supportive. So I was blessed to have that support.
So you now have jumped ship from the corporate world, which a lot of people say that, it's hard to do, but when you're physically, having, a reaction to your body because that's not where you want to be. Talk about the fear, because a lot of times that's what keeps people from wanting to do it. What outside of having the support, because that matters, having people tell you, I got your back. But talk about, because you said it took you 2 years, talk about the fear and how you would talk yourself in and out of it.
So I'll go back a little bit. I had my first child when I was 17 years old. Mm-hmm. So I had to grow up fast. I had to take care of this little person, and I had to be a role model for this little person. So I always had to take care of him. I always had to take care of him. I always had to make it happen. I always had to work. I always had to bring money in. So this was what I always did. So to do something different and to be an entrepreneur, it was just something that I never thought that I would be able to do. So it's just, I just felt like, I'm trying not to get emotional.
Listen, we already said that, but you take your time because we are here for you and want to hear your story.
I guess I was afraid. I just didn't want to let anyone down. I didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to be a failure. I had grown up telling my son, like, I want you to go to college. So I ended up going to college. It took me a while, but I ended up going to college and graduating from UConn. I felt like if I didn't do that, then how can I tell him to do it? And, I have a daughter now, and how could I be this role model and not do what I'm telling them to do? So I just didn't want to let myself down. I didn't want to let them down. So I was just scared to leave. And, when you have a 9 to 5, you have that stability. Even though, my husband was there, I just grew up not depending on people. Everyone asked me for stuff. Everyone came to me for things. So I was just scared. I remember I have a lot of friends that are entrepreneurs, and, one of them said, why are you so scared? If it doesn't work out, just get another job.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And it made sense. So that's when I was like, you know what? Let me do something for me. I've always had to do stuff for everyone else. It's time to focus on me. I'm not ashamed to tell people my age. I turned 46 December 23rd. So it took me a while.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It took me a while to say, Q, it's time to focus on you. You can focus on you now. Your kids are older, do you. So.
Mm-hmm. And it is hard to think that, because after you get to a certain age in your life, you often feel like, oh, maybe this is too late. I probably should have did it if I hadn't wasted this amount of time, or if I thought about it then. So you start talking yourself out of it. And it's one of those talks that you end up having with yourself constantly about stepping out on faith and stepping into your purpose. And it's not, you know, for the faint of heart. People, you don't realize it, that it takes a lot of bravery to be able to do this. But, you know, if you're doing it for yourself, you know, like the person said, you can go back into what made you feel comfortable, because it may not always be right for you. Right. It's just sometimes it made you feel comfortable. So then you get into that mind state of thinking that, and then you now have somebody who's teaching you and you're under their tutelage of DJing. But did you ever feel like, well, I could just keep this job and just, you know, DJ can still be on the side. Why not? I don't have to, this doesn't have to be a full-time thing for me.
Yeah, I was doing that for a while, but I got to the point where I was like, you know what? The more that I was out there and DJing events and being seen, more people started wanting me to DJ their events. So I started really getting booked. So that helped. And then, you know, I also told myself, because you're always just scared of something that you don't know about or you've never done before. Yeah. And I told myself, in 2019, I'm going to say yes. I'm just saying yes to stuff. So someone asked me to MC their event. I was scared out of my mind, but I did it. I said yes. I did it. And they wanted me to come back the next year. It was amazing. So I started just stepping out. And the more I stepped out, the more love I started receiving. It was like the universe was opening up saying, yes, Qiana, finally, you're finally doing it.
We've been waiting on you. We've been waiting on you. Yeah.
So what's one thing that you've learned about yourself, you know, throughout this journey?
Oh my gosh. I learned that I can do anything that I want to do. I always say that to everyone else. And I don't think I've ever really said it to myself. You know, I'm always encouraging everyone else, but I wasn't really encouraging myself. So I know that I can do anything that I want to do. If I stepped out and did that, I can do anything. If I was so afraid, like sweating, nervous to MC an event of like 500 people, then I can do anything. I did it. Sometimes you just have to push through. So I know I have it in me. So yeah, I definitely learned that about myself.
So if you had to tell your 20-year-old self something that you now know, what would that be?
Stop, go make it happen. Make it happen. Stop thinking so much. Stop overthinking. Do what you love. Do what makes you feel good. Do what makes your soul happy. That's what I would tell my 20-year-old self. I'm telling myself that now. Yeah. Do what makes your soul happy.
So you now have, in addition to being a DJ, you are having guys mentorship programs where you mentor other people. How did that come about? I mean, you're now, you know, making gigging and you're now getting all these gigs. How did you now say, all right, I guess I should probably teach people about what I do?
Well, actually, I was doing that before I left my job. So a friend of mine, he worked at a school in Hartford, Belizzi School, and they had an after school program. And for about probably a year and a half, he was saying, Q, can you please put a program together teaching the kids how to DJ for the after school program? And I was scared. That's why it took me a year and a half to do it. Being scared will really mess you up, guys. So I finally did it. I had to put the program together, and I felt, and I will say this, the reason why I was scared and I was kind of hesitant to do it is because I felt like I don't know everything. So I didn't want to go into it and the kids are asking me questions and I don't know, but
they didn't know.
Exactly.
They don't know.
What I did is that I brought in some of my mentors to do this program with me. So I organized everything. I put everything together, all the paperwork and everything together. And we all got together and we taught the kids. So they're learning and I'm still learning too. But it was a great program. I was able to do it for 2 years. And then the school, they lost the funding. Even though I told them, you know, I would still come in and teach the kids, they had to move on and do some other things. So it was such a blessing to do that because you never know the effect that you have on people. So there were a lot of kids, a lot of like young girls that were in the program, and they were like amazed to see a female DJ. First of all, that made me feel good. but they would come into the program and they would be so shy, not wanting to talk, scared. And then after, it brought them so much confidence.
Yeah.
Like grabbing the mic, ready to do their baby scratch. And like, it was just an amazing turnaround for them. So that made me happy. It made me feel good.
So how did you find your, sorry, Sha. I want to know, you talked about your mentors. How did you find your mentors?
Well, Colin, he found me. He found me because when I saw him, he asked me, he told me that he could teach me how to DJ. So I guess we found each other. I found him there. So he continued to be my mentor. DJ Showtime, I met him. I was interning at one of the radio stations out here, and I met him back then. So he became one of my mentors. DJ Big Man, I've known him for a very long time, and he also became one of my mentors. So I kind of reached out to different people who I admired, and they were like, yeah, whatever you need, DJ Drake, it's just a lot of DJs that are very supportive of me and my journey. So yeah, I basically reached out to the DJs.
Okay, that's good to know.
So when you said some of these young girls were so surprised about being or seeing a female DJ, how did you, I guess with the stereotype of being a men's dominated field, how did you get gigs? And people often question your capability to be able to do and perform the job because you're a female?
Let me tell you, well, I was getting gigs because first off, people love to see female DJs, because you don't see a lot of them.
Right.
So especially out here, it wasn't a lot of female DJs. So that's how I was getting a lot of gigs. And those gigs started with women empowerment events because it made sense to have a female,
Exactly.
But that's really how it started. There's times where I would go to DJ a gig and my husband would be with me. I would call him my equipment manager. He would be with me and the people would automatically come up and say, where do you want us to set up? They would say it to him. He would be like, I don't know. She's the DJ. They'll be like, oh, wow. They don't think that a female would be DJing. I think it's getting to be more common now, which is great. But at first, yeah, it wasn't. And sometimes you get the guys that when you're out there DJing, they feel like they need to come over and be like, oh, you should do this or you should play this next. And I'm like, I got it. I'm good.
Oh, really? Don't tell you what to guide you along. And I guess because of the industry to some degree, for music wise, men have dominated the scene to some degree for certain genres like hip hop. And people think of that associated with being a DJ. DJing is a hip hop genre kind of thing, as opposed to being no, we play all kinds of music. So why can't all kinds of people DJ? But that's the mentality that, is associated with for some reason, because, and then people don't think of it professionally. You took yourself out of a corporate setting to then go into this field. This isn't the reverse. People are not doing it the other way around. This is a true profession. So I guess maybe that's, but I guess the question for this is that, I guess explain to people how you could create a business of DJing.
Wow. Where do I start with that? I honestly don't even know where to start. First, you got to make sure you get the gigs. You have the events. Start your LLC, start your business.
When you say get the gigs, is there a website DJs and just plug their information and just connect them to people? Do you pass out flyers? How do people connect? If I now have gotten my little class with you and I've done all the things I needed to learn and equipment wise, how would I then go out to actually get booked for gigs?
So what I've been doing a lot is really focusing on social media. Social media right now is everything. You can DJ on social media. I've been doing that a lot, either on Facebook, on Twitch, Instagram. The more people see you, the more they want to hire you, the more they'll refer you. The more gigs you get, the more people you meet, the more people you see. and that it just continues to go on and on and on.
Yeah, it's like you're auditioning online almost.
Yeah.
So just even off because and that's also the good thing about it, because when when D and I started doing all this stuff during the quarantine, and then a lot of people started like, oh, I'm gonna do it. I mean, people I was doing it before, but then it came this thing like, oh, let me check out this DJ. That because maybe some people didn't realize when someone was going live and said DJ, let me tap in to see they're doing a mix right now. But that actually gives people a window into your skill set. Because you as a DJ, I can pass somebody a car. Oh, call this person. Yeah, she's a good DJ. But then how do I know that? Like, how does someone know that? So social media is a great platform for you to be able to do that. And when we did the intro, so how you got into your element when you was like, I'm not from Jersey, and house music is the home of it all here. So, but that was one of the songs that I was like, yeah, something every day. So that was one of the things I was like, okay. So then if I was thinking about house music, I would think about certain DJs. But what do you think is your genre of a specialty, I guess?
I hate to say a specialty, but I love my 90s
and
R&B. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love 80s music. The crazy thing is that I really love all types of music.
Yeah.
And even when I'm DJing live, huh?
And so you have to be almost in order to be a good DJ, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even when I'm DJing live, I like to play some hip hop and R&B, but then I'll throw in some pop, or I'll throw in some like 80s disco music. I'll just throw in 70s disco, like anything, just to switch things up a little bit, because I know that there's all types of people that watch me. So I like to throw a little bit of something in for everybody. That's what I like to do. I just love good music. If it's a good beat, I'm going to play it. And I'm going to be dancing too.
Right. So a lot of time people will say, in terms of, I know the industry has been evolving because people have social media, where DJs were a lot of responsible of breaking artists. Do you ever get people coming to you asking, can you play my song? Can you put my song in your mix? Can you do this? And how do you manage that if you decide to do it?
I do. I don't mind, like, especially people around here. I love to support the people out here, the artists out here. So of course I'll play it. If I always say, one thing about me is I really like to just play clean music. So I'll like, listen, send it to me, send me the clean version, and I'll play it. But, I always love to support the artists, the up and coming artists, anyone.
And so house music, I was saying, in terms of being in the Jersey mix area, how do you kind of blend in styles? Because you have the pop. Do you kind of, especially when, I don't know, Connecticut, are they really into that kind of version of music? Do they have house party? Like they have deep house parties here, the underground scene. Isn't that intense there as well?
Probably not that intense. I don't know what kind of house parties y'all have out there right now. Tell me about it. Like, let me come through.
You should. I mean, they're probably not as much as they're going on as before. But I remember one time a friend of mine came to visit me from DC, and my husband wanted to go to this house. He just said party because he know I don't really feel that way about house music. Oh, let's go to this party. And I don't know, it wasn't like a rave, but it felt like a rave. It was dark and smoky, and everybody was just like, it was just a beats. And so that's a difference to me when it comes down to like house music than a regular party. You just hear the instrumental kind of version of music as opposed to, like a song. So that's what I'm saying. And that's how it was for straight 3 hours, just instrumental versions of music. So that's when I say deep house.
I like that though. I do.
Okay.
Do parties out here like that? No, not that I know of.
Okay.
Whoever's listening, let me know if there's parties out here like that.
Well, I'll connect you to some people who have stuff out here that are like that. And I'm always like, I'll be here for 30 minutes and I'm gonna go right.
Yeah, I would love that. I don't think there's anything like that out here. Not that I know of.
Right. Yeah.
But
they listen to house where you are, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But not the kind, like I said, it's just straight drum beats the entire time.
Like drum and bass.
Yeah.
So the first time that I probably heard about drum and bass music was about 10 years ago. I had created this event called the Ultimate DJ Showcase.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to involve different DJs that played different genres of music. So it was this dope female, Ms. Isis. She came with the drum and bass, and I fell in love with it. I love drum and bass.
Okay.
But, yeah, that was probably the first time that I even heard anything about it. So
That's a great thing. I was going to ask you about the showcase. So talk about the showcase and what it's meant to, I guess, give platforms of all genres, but specifically what type of genres and difference? Because again, people seem like DJing is about everything. You should know how to play everything. How does the showcase kind of highlight different genres in that forum?
Well, my friend Vanessa and I, we came up with the DJ Showcase. It was a time when I was just learning how to DJ, and she loved music. So we wanted to create something that would bring DJs together, and there was nothing like that out here, not that I knew of at that time or anywhere. I never heard of anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I named it the Ultimate DJ Showcase, and I would go out and seek through social media. I would go and find DJs that would spin different genres of music. Like I knew like my DJs that played the hip hop and the R&B and the reggae and things like that. But I wanted to get the DJs that played the EDM as well, and the drum and bass and the reggaeton. Like I wanted to just bring them all together in this one room and celebrate them and give them the opportunity to showcase their skills and possibly get hired for different events.
Yeah.
So I would give them 10 to 15 minutes to DJ and show their skills. And it was a great event. The DJs loved it. They were networking with each other. It was just like a huge DJ family. And through that, I met hundreds and hundreds of DJs. And let me tell you with that. So even starting that, DJs would send me a message. So I had another Facebook called Turntable Madness. So my face wasn't on there or anything. So DJs would hit me up and they would be like, "Yo, man, I want to get up in this showcase." I automatically think I was a guy, and then they would come to the showcase and I'd be like, "Hi, how are you?" I'll be like, "Oh, shoot." I did get a lot of respect doing the DJ showcase.
The business in mindset, yeah.
Would you do that again? Would you consider doing it again?
Oh my gosh, yes. The reason why I did stop at that time, the last one I did was like 2 years ago. The owner of the venue had passed away. It was a really good friend of mine. So I just, and he was actually a DJ as well, DJ London. And I just decided to like hold off for it. But, I'm thinking now we can do it virtually, and then bring in DJs from all over the world. So I'm going to figure that out and make that happen.
Maybe get a corporate sponsor, because that would be great to be able to have that, to be able to give and do like prizes and all that kind of stuff. So that would be
exactly. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention earlier you talked about your father having crates and crates of music, and you would be downstairs going through them and playing them. And it's funny because both of our names are Keyana, so we'll start there. Both of our fathers DJ'd, right? I actually thought I was going to go into music. I love music. I ended up when I went to college, I wanted to go for music or being in that, that field. I didn't go. My family, said, "No, you're going to go and do something else. Do something that you can get a job with." Right. And in my mind, I'm like, I remember the little girl myself sitting on a toilet saying, "I'm going to be Diana Ross," right? Or be in the music industry. It's funny enough, people think I look like her for some reason. I don't know where that comes from. Eyes. But it must be the eyes. But I didn't, I didn't have, I guess at that age, going to college, the guts to say, "You know what, forget what my family says. I'm going to school and want to do what I want to do." And even now, it brings me joy to have you on here and everyone else who's in the industry following their passions, and you taking the leap to say, you know what, I was in corporate and I'm going to follow my dreams and I'm going to, do what I want to do and love it. And so I respect you for that because, it takes a lot of guts to do that. And I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My daughter, she just graduated from high school and she was very indecisive of, wanting whether she wanted to go to college or not. Mm-hmm. And I told her, I said, listen, I'm not pressuring you to do anything that you don't want to do or you're not sure about doing. And I know I felt good telling her that. I did. I know the young kids, they feel pressured a lot to do things that they don't want to do and do things that their parents want them to do. And I didn't want her to feel like that. So I want her to do what she loves, like I'm doing, and just be happy doing what you love and not going to a 9-to-5 aggravated and struggling to get through the day and like, oh my gosh, that's just a horrible feeling. Yeah, it is. Horrible feeling. So yeah, thank you, Qiana.
Yes. I had to say that. I had to come, I was watching from behind and I'm like, wow, that story sounds all so familiar. But it's good that you had experience in the corporate world. You can always go back, right? But you
not going back.
Yeah, she ain't going back. She's like, But at least you took the leap and look, you love it, no turning back. So I'm proud of you. That's really good.
Thank you.
Through all that you have gone through in your journeys, what has been some of the challenges that you were faced with getting in there and getting out there and putting your name out there?
Some of the challenges.
Well, what are some of the challenges in the field, or what are some of the challenges that you face, being a female in this industry?
Well, I will tell you this. 2020 was challenging for me. And I'm sure all of the entrepreneurs out here, a lot of them, or a lot of the artists out here, because what we do, it was basically shut down. Yeah. It was shut down. So think about it, like in August of 2019, I left my job. So, right. And when I left, everything was booming for me. So then in February, March is when I was getting cancellations every day. People were losing their jobs and asking me for their deposits back, and I couldn't keep them. Like I didn't feel right keeping them. So like it was just crazy. And I said to God, like, God, why did I leave my job? Right. I was like, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. I left because I was supposed to leave. And then I just had to pivot. And that's when I started DJing virtually, and people started contacting me to DJ virtual events. And and that's what I'm doing now, constantly DJing. That is awesome. Events. So, I mean, 2020 it started off being very challenging, but sometimes you just gotta figure it out. You gotta think about different ways where you can still survive and make things happen. And that's what I had to do. So 2020 was challenging. Yeah. Not even with DJing, but just life, period.
And it's one of those things when you think about, not to go too deep into my faith about stuff, but it's just about how when things happen. Because 10 years ago, you could have walked away, but it happened in the time period when something like this happened. And then now it's that moment in life when God is saying, how are you going to show up for yourself? I've given you this vision of want to do something for yourself. Now, are you going to be a person that be like, oh, no, I'm retreating back to what I know because now it's gotten too sticky, gotten too hairy, or I'm going to keep pressing forward because this is the challenge where the test becomes your testimony. So it's definitely, that journey where, it didn't come right out smoothly. Now all these gigs, you've been touring the world, but now you are here now, but you made the best out of it. That's the best part about it.
Yeah, I have to figure it out. I mean, I tell everyone around me to make it happen and do what you love. And, I'm always so positive to my, to my kids and my family. So I have to take my own advice. Yes. I just had to make it happen. I got to do what I have to do to survive. So.
And that's so true. And that's so great that you did and being able to, because a lot of people think that once things shut down like that, there was no way that you can get out of it. So you can now do things virtually because people like corporate events, they're like, all right, well, we can still do stuff, but now how are we going to do it? We don't have blah, blah, blah. And then you have DJs that they can go out and find. Have you ever gotten to the position where you thought about getting people to represent you, to be able to connect to you, or you do everything as your own CEO business and all?
I really do everything right now. I'm reaching out to people. There's people that are having these women empowerment events. I'm reaching out to them to see if they need a DJ. I feel like a lot of people, or a lot of people that are doing these events or these corporate planners, they don't think about having a DJ. So when you put it in their ear, they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Because honestly, it's a totally different vibe when you incorporate music and a live DJ.
Yeah.
I really, when I'm DJing, I really set the tone for the event. So it really does make a difference.
It does. But I think it probably plays into any virtual aspect of it now, because like I said, when you think about when I go online and I go into someone's live and they're playing music, and I may start doing something around, and although, yeah, you have other streaming things you can put on, but there's a different connection that a DJ makes to music than what you would do with any streaming platform you play, because they don't understand, I guess, the basics of how to really make music kind of weave it to a story almost. You know, I think that's the thing that people don't understand, that a DJ, like when you like listen to streaming places, they just doing it off of algorithms of like how songs play and all that stuff. A DJ weaves a story. There's like a part of it that gets connected to, oh, you remember this, and saying little things that kind of make you become nostalgic almost when you're listening to songs.
Very true.
Yeah.
That's very true. Anytime that I'm doing having a consultation with someone that wants to hire me, I always ask them, like, you know, what type of music do you want to hear? Or, you know, what's the age group of the people that are going to be at the event? And I kind of base that around the music that I'm going to play for the day. So it really, it's a lovely thing. I love it so much. I really do. I love seeing people happy and dancing and smiling. That's what music brings to them.
And that's so true. I mean, like I said, I couldn't imagine a world without it. Like I have to cook to while I'm listening to music. Like I literally like clean up like to listen to music. Like every part and aspect of my life. And I like to listen to mix more than I do any streaming platform, because I do feel like there is a different connection of a DJ putting the mix together than just some streaming platform. But you know, there's a space for it all some kind of way.
Yeah, it's definitely a flow. There's definitely a flow to it.
So when you do your live virtual things and you're just doing it for yourself, do you set like a certain time? Do you kind of think about when and time of day is best to do it? Or you just kind of like, all right, I feel like getting on, let me do it now?
You know what? So I was going live every Friday with my friend DJ Drake on Twitch. But I recently went on social media and asked people what would be a good time for me to go live, you know, on my own page. And I got a lot of feedback. So I'll probably end up going live on Thursdays around 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that will be my time. So
I was going to ask you about the most exciting part. So I guess you said it in terms of just making people feel happy. So is that what you say? That's the thing that brings you most joy, is seeing the reactions of people?
Oh my God, yes. 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 Especially when they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you just played that song. I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Back to this point of my life. Oh my gosh, thank you. And and I'm just sitting here doing what I love, but I'm not really understanding all the time. I'm not understanding that how it affects so many people, how the music affects so many people. Yeah. And it feels good, especially when you get that great feedback from people. It feels good. It makes me feel good.
I always say I'm surprised that, you know, although funerals are supposed to be somber times, but I'm surprised that people don't have a repast because it always seems like it turns into a party at some point. It's always like, no, people want to be sad in the beginning, but then it's like all of a sudden, I feel like some point somebody want to break out an electric slide at the repast.
I appreciate repasses.
Have you seen? I always wonder, and that's so funny, and that's a great thought. I was going to ask you about the craziest job, but I guess that would be that then, a repass, really.
It's definitely different, because it's like you don't know what's appropriate, but when the person is telling you, listen, we want to have a good time. We don't want to cry anymore. We want to have fun. So play whatever you want to play. That's great too. But yeah, it is kind of a awkward moment. But if I could bring joy to them in that moment, then I'm all for it.
And that's true, because it is a celebration, and it's amazing that somebody will want that. But it is something that you want to be celebrating, and part of that is music and being able to memorize a memory that you have in your mind about the person you're thinking about. Right. So that is great. So would you think about, I guess it wouldn't be crazy, I guess the most different, would that be the top different job you've ever hosted or DJ before?
Probably.
It was like,
now that I think about it.
There's been some, but yeah, that'd be probably the one right there.
Probably. And I've DJed a lot of events, but that probably,
Really?
That probably is the most, that's the most different.
So when you're starting out on this, I guess when having done it from the beginning of if you were doing it before, as far as leaving your job, what was kind of like the amount of frequency of jobs and gigs you were getting within a month or a week at a time?
During me while I was working, or
so because even when you were working, I guess you wouldn't do it full time. So that was the most time you were doing it before, right?
Yeah, for the month, I would probably get about maybe 8.
Oh wow!
8 events during the month. Yeah. So it was like really consistent. It was consistent.
And so if an average, and not to get too close to your business, the only reason why we ask this question is because we want to get people to understand that this is a business that you would have to manage yourself. What would be a range that someone would decide they want to choose to charge somebody for, like, for instance, a 4-hour event?
It depends. Oh my gosh, it depends. It really, really depends. I'll give you a hourly range between $250 and $500 an hour.
Okay. And see, that's the reason why we ask this question, because people think about DJing as a hobby, as opposed to you could really make this a professional career for you when you are putting yourself in positions that align with like events and weddings and stuff, especially when you can be highly sought after. When you're putting yourself in a position of it just being like, oh, I'm doing it on the side, then sure, maybe that's what it's going to be. But you can actually make a whole profession out of this and not having it just be like the side job you do in the weekends.
Oh, most definitely. It's definitely a profession. I call myself a professional DJ, and I am definitely a professional when it comes down to the business. And I'm making more than I was making when I was working. So, I mean, yeah.
And that's important, because I'm
making a living doing this.
And you can also manage it, because then when you're working, somebody says, "There's your salary. This is what we're gonna pay you. We're gonna take these gajillion taxes out your check." Whereas it's with your DJing, of course, you still pay your taxes, but you can decide for how many events you can do. 8 to 10, 20 to 35. You are able to manage, and then you know how to translate that into dollars for how many events you're doing. So,
and I decide who is my client and who isn't my client. So and what I mean by that is saying, like, there are some people who will try to talk you down. And I don't want to say that they don't respect what you do, but I just think that they don't understand everything that you put into it to make their event successful. So, that just might not be my client,
Oof, I don't mean to cut you off, but I say that it's so amazing that you said that, because my best friend stepped out from a government job to become a chef. And she says that all the time. She says, I'm not going to cut my prices. And she said, if people don't want me, then I'm not your chef, and you're not my client.
Yeah.
So, but people, and maybe speak to that, because oftentimes people feel like, well, can't you cut me a deal? Can't you just give me like a couple of percentages off? And I don't know what I would normally say to people when it comes down to when you walk into somebody else's store, you do that to them. But how do you say that? Because of course you don't want to burn bridges, but how do you deal with that when people constantly want to be like, well, can you do this for like half of that?
Sometimes I'll come back and say, okay, say if they want me to do half of it for an hour, I'll say, well, what I can do is do that for a half hour, or I'll say, unfortunately, I'm not able to accommodate your pricing. I'm not able to do that right now. And then I kind of break down everything that I put into making their event successful. I think a lot of people think that we just are going to an event, or even virtual. They might think that we're just pulling up music and just playing. And no, it's an art to this.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a lot of pre-event planning, and we're making sure that the music doesn't cut off in the middle of the song, and everything is flowing smoothly. It's a lot that we put into making their event successful. And I think just a little bit of explaining and letting them know what we do kind of helps. But, even after that, if they feel like, it's still too much, then it's okay.
It's okay. You don't have to always like take every dollar, because when you make yourself feel like you have to do that, then that's what they're always going to devalue you into some degree. So that's one of those moments where you have to manage that for yourself. I see we got a shout out from Regina McKay saying, hey, DJ Boogie in the house. Hi, Regina. So you knowing that in terms about the process that goes into it, when I think about the DJing, I guess the evolution of it, there was a time where, like you said, people had that crates of albums, and now people have the computer and laptop and they can DJ, but there's still a process that go into getting your playlist together. Like you're not just doing that. So how, I guess, much investment do you spend on doing that, sitting down and making sure for yourself, I'm planning out this event based on these songs and I'm going to go into that. How do you do that for yourself now?
Well, what I'll do is when I'm consulting with the client, the first conversation that I have, I'm asking them, what do you want your event to look like?
Mm-hmm.
What type of tone do you want to be set for your event? And what type of music do you want me to play? Give me some examples. And then I ask for the age range and, if it's going to be just all females or a mixture and, are they going to be kids? I ask all of these types of questions. And then I go back and think about what they told me. And then I put in my own flair. I add my own music that I think would fit into their event. And it works. It works for the most part.
Mm.
It works.
And you using because equipment wise, for people who are looking into getting to this, since there's, I don't know, are there professional schools of DJing? You would have to basically connect with someone. If someone wanted to get started with equipment wise, what would you suggest for them to go out and get?
Oh my gosh, I would say start small because equipment is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So start with something small. My first controller, my first DJ set, it was turntables and a mixer and some small speakers that my mentor gave to me.
Mm-hmm.
That was like my first set that I would practice, and then some records I would practice at home. But my first small set was a Vestax controller, and it was something really small that I can put in like a bag. And then I had my laptop. I didn't even have a Mac at that time. And then I got some speakers. So at first I would not spend a lot of money on a set, because you got to make sure that this is what you really want to do, and you don't want to put a bunch of money into it if you're going to lose interest.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense to be able to know that. Because like I said, there's not a school you can go to just be like, let me just see. I take a semester of DJ, whether or not I want to do it. So if you're investing in yourself, you want to be able to know for your own self that that's what you want to do before going into that. Or like you said, connecting to mentors or connecting to someone, asking them to mentor you may be a start, because if they have the equipment before you go out, maybe you can like, hey, can I come over your house or something like that?
Yeah, and that's what I would do. That's actually what I would do.
Yeah.
But there are some schools, I believe in New York. There might be some in New Jersey too. I don't know. Scratch Academy. There are some schools out here that can that have the equipment and can teach you the basics of DJing and even advanced DJing as well.
Okay. And then I wonder, like I said, in terms of the investment part, then still knowing that that's what you want to do, because it can't, be that much cheaper than buying your own equipment and learning on your own. So even knowing that you want to do that beforehand, do you feel like there's any value in doing vinyl and knowing how to play with vinyl as opposed to going straight into, I guess, all the digital aspects? Or you feel like you're still getting the same quality or knowledge or skill set from a DJ standpoint?
I guess I would say that you should always start with the vinyl. I mean, or I won't even say always start with it. Just get it in there somewhere. Because I feel like it's not what you have, it's what you do with it. You know, because you could be DJing on vinyl and be horrible. So I think that, I mean, it all started from vinyl. So you should have the opportunity to at least touch it at some point in your career. But to start on it, I mean,
absolutely.
At this point, you know, I think it's just really up to the person. But at some point in their DJ career, I think you should just at least have the opportunity to feel it and understand the difference.
I mean, especially now everything that old becomes new, and then there'll be somebody say, do you know how to just DJ with vinyl? I just want to have an old school party with just all vinyl music. So because you know that,
like, oh God.
Because you know people now are getting into vinyls now. Like they have a where you go hook up the vinyls to your computer. I'm like, well, what's the point if you go do all that? But they have all of that now. So be that moment of somebody, I want a full-fledged throwback where you're coming in with your crates.
Ain't nobody doing that, okay?
He's like, nah, that happened.
He's like, okay, I'll make it happen.
Be like, right, for the right money, I got your back. So when you look, you know, as far as down the road, as far as projects, and we're in the back of the normal life, because I know, so some people can't see through the fog right now, but what do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I had to like giggle a little bit about that because I'm going to be honest with you. I see myself being Mary J. Blige's DJ.
Okay.
Now, listen, I'm putting it out here in the atmosphere, okay?
Okay.
I just see me behind her, rocking with her. Go, Mary, go, Mary. Me coming down and then doing her dance with her.
Yes, you should be doing a little thing. But you are speaking that, and listen,
I'm so
I can't believe it happen.
I'm so serious.
Is that a dream you had, or that just has been something on your heart you said you really wanted to have happen?
I feel like that is really going to happen.
It is.
And I'm usually right when I say things like this. But honestly, and I'll tell you this, in my bio, I changed it, I don't think it's in there. I put in there that I remember being in my parents' basement playing Evelyn Champagne King on the record player. So in 2019, I was contacted to DJ an event, and she was the headliner.
Wow.
But COVID happened. So I was like,
wow,
so hyped up. And
wow.
I didn't even do it. But
oh wow, that was just like a little taste. And that's all right. It's coming back. Like I said, this is all the time of preparation of just like this happen. Because now the next time it happens, she's gonna be like, who is this QBoogie? I need her on tour with me. So that is awesome. So that is good, and that's a good thing to have yourself being out there and people being able to see you. Because I mean, I may know like 3 female DJs on the top of my mind, but it's something that needs to happen more. That we need to see more, because there as much as women out there in the industry, you know, performing on stage. So there should be just as much people DJing, because you all are the ones who bring the crowd, connect the everything that's going on in the background. So I, you know, hope to see more of that in terms of in the future, and you being able to lay the groundwork for women wanting to do that.
And most definitely, there's people that contact me all the time. Do they follow up? No, but you know, they contact me all the time to, you know, see if I can teach them how to DJ or be a mentor. And I'm always open to it. I am an open book. I will let you know anything. I am here. I'm ready to help these young girls, these young boys, whatever. I'll help with starting their DJing career or the DJ process for them. I definitely want to, I see myself like over these next years being a mentor to these young girls wanting to learn how to DJs as well. So
So that'll be like the upcoming thing, your project, working on mentoring some youth. You know, some boys can get it too, but you got an uncle. Let your uncle teach you. He's gonna teach the girls. I know.
I didn't want to leave the boys out.
It's like you got like and the boys, but go back to them girls again. No. We know. I mean, but it is definitely important. Only because we're not saying, because I have a boy and girl too, and it's funny because we always say that, you know, with my daughter, everything she does, he want to do, but there's some point we have to let them be separate because they need to have their own identities. But you know, if that's something you know he wants to do, sure, come on, let's go do it together. But you allow them to decide for themselves, and you know where young boys can have that as well. So we'll give them a little couple minutes in there in this program.
Right.
The sponsor that's gonna be sponsored by this major sponsor that's gonna have all these youth in your program. Speaking all of that.
Yes.
So if you think to yourself, as far as the advice you want to give someone who's starting out, someone who's even reached out to you, haven't gotten back to you, what would you say to them and encouraging them, inspiring them to get into this field or any field when they're thinking about jumping out there?
Well, first, get a mentor. Find someone that is willing to help you and teach you the basics. Do what you love. Just do what you love. Don't let anyone discourage you from doing what you want to do. And love on yourself and encourage yourself. Look in the mirror and say, I love you. You can be your own motivator. You don't need anyone to do that for you. And just do what you love. Do what you love. Don't worry about anything else. Just do what you love and let it come naturally.
That is so great and so important for anyone, no matter what you're going into, to hear. I mean, this has been such a great pleasure for us to hear your journey and your career, and that you were able to realize for yourself that you had to step out on faith and let go fear to do something that you really love to do, you know, because a lot of times people get stuck in, I just got to keep going and paying these bills, as opposed to really tapping into what they want to do. So we are so honored that you shared your journey with us today. So
thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here. And I just want to really shout out my mom, because my mother is the strongest woman that I know. And because of her, I am who I am right now. So shout out to my mom. I love you, boo.
Shout out to moms.
Moms are the best.
And my daughter Soleil and my son Tyrus and my husband, who has my back all the time. And
that's important, having a champion. What did your mama say about giving people earrings that they say they like your earrings? Did she say that?
I'll make sure that I get you some, okay? my friend made these for me.
Really? Oh, I was looking at them the whole time like, I just love these earrings.
You know, if you were in front of me, I probably would take them off. And
no, I'm one of those too. I'm like, all right, I guess.
I am too. I do that all the time. All the time.
We all have something in common. That's three. Yep. But we are so happy that you were able to be with us today. And for anyone out there who wants to share their story and wants to be an inspiration to others, please let us know by emailing us at inspirebyEnonus@gmail.com. If you have someone that you want to say that I feel like this person has been an inspiration to me, email us as well. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms and get that information and share this story with someone else, because there's somebody right now that's frustrated and don't want to be doing what they want to do right now as far as their job, that want to just step out on faith. And we need to hear more stories like this that Q shared with us. And we're so thankful that she did. But until then, we inspire together. I'm your host, Sha Hayes. Be blessed.